Hi, I'm Dawn, and this is where Shabby meets Bling. I have recently thrifted this guy. Isn't he cute? I think he's adorable. I've also thrifted a couple of mid-century modern items that I'm going to be tweaking and changing just a little bit for some unexpected Halloween decor. Why, you ask?
Because it's always Halloween. I would like to thank my co-host Monica from Up All Night DIY. You're going to find the links to her channel and this playlist in my description box below. This is one of those items I was telling you about. Isn't she cute? She is from Japan and she cost me $8. And I think she's absolutely adorable. I found her in that little resale shop that's in my town, and they are a little pricier, but their items are a little more quality. I feel that this cute little kitty, not broken in any way, was fully worth this $8. I like to know what I'm dealing with, so I looked online and I found similar items, but nothing identical to my little kitty. The closest I found were this kitty and this kitty. These are Majolica, or sometimes pronounced Majolica, and they are Italian. And I know mine is not Italian, it's Japanese. So she may not be worth $150, but I know she's worth something. That means I'm going to take extra care of this little girlie, and I am going to make sure what I do to her, everything I do to her, can be undone with some warm soapy water and a little sponge. I am starting as usual with shiny items. A coat of the podge. Busted out the podge. We got the mod. We got the podge. Together we got Modge. And that's what I'm using right now. Helps the paint stick better for me. So that's where we begin. She's going to get a coat all over her cute little body. And then we will, you know what we're going to do. You know what we're going to do. We're going to paint. The podge is dry. Let the painting commence. This is a Waverly chalk paint in ink. It's called ink. We use it all the time. I love this color. It's just nice and dark and lovely. And I am going to paint everything except the bow tie and her big, beautiful eyes. I think her eyes are so pretty, so lovely, and those are gonna stay intact. So I'm being careful to go around the bow tie, even though I'm gonna paint it, just not this black. I'll be painting it a pretty orange shortly, but now I need to move on to her face. I have to be extraordinarily careful while going around her eyes because there is no retouching. There is no going back. I could wash the whole thing off, but that would be really counterproductive. So I need to be very careful going around her eyes because I do not have this color, this 1970s beautiful bright green color to touch up if my black goes anywhere onto it. So I am being extraordinarily careful, and I'm painting out her nose too and her mouth. They're going bye-bye because we're going to paint them a different color. Something that's going to show up on this beautiful ink paint. I have painted a 1970s cat before, and I will leave the link for that video in my description box, along with the link for this video in the description box. This cat was another project, and his name is Mr. Whiskers. He's a modern day kitty, but needed some help because he was damaged. But back to this kitty. This kitty's name is Friday. This is my girl Friday, and her name is Friday because I personally have a beautiful black cat. It's a little boy, and his name is Friday. So this is a little tribute to my very first rescue, Friday. This is Friday. You may have seen him in a video or two. He likes to be near me when I work and be in boxes, even if they're too tiny for him. Back to my girl Friday. It is time to paint her lovely little bow. And it's not a bow tie, it's a bow. Because she's a girly girl and she likes to dress up, especially for Halloween. This is a Hello Hobby chalk paint, and the color is orange. Now, the color is pumpkin. It is orange though, right? I am painting the entire bow tie, the front and the back. And then later on, much later on, I will be adding some detail paint. I will add some polka dots in the center of her bow and some little stripes coming out the sides. Her bow needs a strap. Now I know this is, Halloween and everything's magical and fabulous, but the bow's not going to stand by itself, you know what I'm saying? So I am using a scrap piece of my flower clay that I had cut a moon ago and kept it basically in a Rubbermaid container, sealed. So you can see it is still pliable. I will use a piece of this and cut the ends at an angle so that it fits nice and snug up against the back of her little bow. And then I will paint this the exact same pumpkin orange that I used on the front of her bow. Once my pumpkin paint has dried, I am going to use a 3-in-1 glue to glue it on the back of my little Friday's neck. Now, you might see the Aleene's glue sitting there, but that's not what I used. I used 3-in-1. I get it placed where I want it, and I hold it in place until it sets. I did sit here for a bit, so we're going to fast forward through this so you don't have to deal. I hold it nice and tight, and where any glue is coming out, I make sure I get rid of it. I'm just using an old paintbrush to do that. Little kitty needs a tag, but it's not going to have her name on it. It's not going to say Friday. This little tag was made from flower clay yet again, and I did it a long time ago. When I'm playing with clay, I'm kind of like Monica, with her little stars. If you're going to make stuff, you might as well make a lot of them because you just never know. You never know what you're going to want in the future. And usually when you do want something, you don't have it. So I try to plan ahead. Now that I've drilled a hole in it to accommodate a little looped wire, which will give the illusion that it's going right through her little bow, I'm going to give her a coat of paint. Now this, I think it's called Tuscan Sun. It doesn't matter because in the end I painted over it. After this dried, I came back with a yellow ochre and gave it 2 more coats. You may remember Gus the Ghost Catcher. Well, earlier he was telling me that it gets kind of lonely out there hunting ghosts all alone and he would like to adopt a kitty. So Friday's tag needed to say something special, something specific. I'll leave the link to how I made Gus in the description box. So to make something special, I popped into Canva and created these little badges. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with the Future Farmers of America, the FFA. Well, this is a little different. This is the FGCA, the Future Ghost Catchers of America. Friday is going to become Gus's apprentice. I did multiple sizes. The big ones are more for me and possibly another project. And the smaller ones I did quite a few of to make sure I had the right size for the little tag that we already created. I choose the one that I think will fit best and look best, and I cut it out. Then I go ahead and get out the podge, back to the podge, and I podge that little badge right on top of the tag. I Mod Podge the whole thing. Then with my jewelry tool, I make a little loop out of that wire and add it to the tag. Now Friday needs the rest of her little face. I am using a gray. This gray is Slate, and it is a chalk paint from Hello Hobby. Hello Hobby. With this gray paint, I am making kind of a elongated little heart for her nose. And I am also going to make a little eyebrows. And I am going to also do a little bit of detail work around the tip of her ears and her eyes and make her a little tiny smiley mouth. And I'm going to add some freckles. Now, once I get all this paint where I want it, I'm going to come back with that black ink chalk paint and dry brush over almost all of this gray, so it's not so incredibly stark. I will completely paint out the little freckles. I want them to be seen and not heard. I want the dimension to be there, but I don't want the color to be there, because as soon as I am done with her sweet little face, I am going to be making her some whiskers. Not painting whiskers, I'm going to be making whiskers out of black embroidery floss. At this point, Friday has had 3 coats of chalk paint. And yes, that was the real life Friday strolling through that shot. To see how I make the whiskers from embroidery floss, check out the Mr. Whiskers video that I referred to earlier in the video. So here's my second mid-mod find. This is a Van Briggle art pottery bird lamp. And I cannot believe I found this little gem. Now, she is broken. Her little tail at the base there, you can see right there, has come off. Even broken, these are valuable. This is $135, but that's with the shade. Mine did not have the shade. Here's what it would look like with no flaws. I did find a picture of one in white, and I will use this as my model as I repair my black lamp. I did find my lamp at my favorite little resale shop for $3. This lamp does work, but I have plans for a lampshade that is much different than what the original was, and I need to disassemble the entire lamp to get it on here. So first things first, we disassemble my little lamp. If you have never dealt with electrical items before, I ask that you please have someone do it that has had experience. I have rewired some lamps before. I've hung chandeliers and ceiling fixtures before. So I feel pretty confident in what I'm doing. But if you're not familiar, please go to someone that is. To see a couple of my other lamp projects, like this project and this project, check these videos out. I will leave the links in the description box. Once I get my lamp totally disassembled, then we can move on to repairing her little tail. I am slowly by hand using a tile bit to bore a tiny little indentation so I have a starting point when I start to drill. Now, if you don't do this little process, at least for me, I find that my drill bit as I'm drilling will skidamarinky-dinky right off the spot, and you could either chip something worse, which has happened, or you won't get it in the center. So now that I've got a little starting point, I'm going to drill a teeny tiny little hole as far into this thing as I can. This old ceramic is tough. I kid you not. So all I'm after is a small hole, a little spot, so I can place some wire. So I take my wire, and it is the same wire that I used to make that little circle for Friday's tag. And I make kind of a hairpin shape out of it, and I squeeze it together. I am going to be gluing this into that hole with a 3-in-1 glue, and I'm going to let it set overnight. Now that my glue has cured, I'll be using JB Weld Quickwood to create her little tail. Well, at least the new extension of her tail. JB Weld comes in this little package, and you can see it comes with 2 different colors in this little roll. You pinch off a little bit of it, enough that you make sure you've got both colors. And then you're gonna knead it. You're gonna knead these 2 colors together until it becomes one uniform color, and then the product will be activated. And then it will slowly start to harden and cure. And that's what I'm doing here, is I'm kneading the product together so that I can have a pliable substance that's gonna firm up and become her tail permanently. The wire is acting as an armature for my JB Weld, which is actually kind of like clay. Here you can see the JB Weld in place on my little armature, and at this point, of course, since it's not hardened yet, the wire inside the tail will move around a bit. I am going to set this aside, and I'm going to let it dry until it's super duper hard, and then I'm going to sand it. While that JB Weld is drying, I am going to address a couple other things. I thrifted for $1 this adorable, really really raunchy looking. I love it. A little bird cage. Isn't she cute? And how awesome would it be to drill a hole right there and use her as my lampshade? So that's what's going to happen right there. This little guy is going to be our lampshade. Now, I have removed the cardboard out of the lamp parts because I am going to give them a little bit of spray paint. And I'm not using just any normal everyday spray paint. I'm going to use something special for this application. But I can't get any spray paint on the inside of this, or my cardboard might not go back into where it needs to be. So I'm going to put a little bit of aluminum foil inside both pieces, and then we're going to spray paint. For spray paint, I'm going to be using this Rust-Oleum engine enamel. This product is made to be applied in areas that will be reaching extreme heat. I like to use the appropriate product for the appropriate project. Better safe than sorry. This is what it looks like with one coat of spray paint on it, and I will definitely be giving it a second coat. While we're waiting for all kinds of things to dry, I am going to touch up my little bird cage. I am going to be using that ink black chalk paint by Waverly from the first project from our little Friday cat. All I'm doing is touching up very gently over the white. I am letting that beautiful rust just shine on through and be its beautiful self. So just a little touch up with this black chalk paint, and then we can get to sanding because I think my little birdie tail is ready. Well, I think she's ready. I think it is firm enough that I can actually sand. Now, I don't want my sandpaper to hit any other part of the lamp. I don't want it to scratch it because I want this to remain as intact as possible. So I'm going to pat it and tuck some foam underneath the tail and in between the base of the lamp. And then I'm going to start sanding, and I'm going to sand this little tail until it is as smooth as I can get it. Hopefully it will be as close a match as possible to that white bird Van Briggle lamp I showed you earlier. I have already given my little birdie tail one coat of black ink chalk paint by Waverly, and now I'm giving it a second coat. Once this coat is dry, I'm going to apply gloss Mod Podge, and I'm going to apply at least 3 coats because I want it to have a really nice shine like the rest of the lamp. Because I'll be adding so much height with that bird cage, I want to elevate the base of the lamp. So I've just taken a little round from Woodpile at Hobby Lobby. I picked it up and I painted it that same black. Now this I coated with matte Mod Podge. And now I'm using a little candle cup that I picked up from Joann Fabrics before they went bye-bye. And I'm going to screw it in the center of my wood round. My lamp is hollow, and my lamp is going to sit right on there nice and snug so it cannot be knocked off of this little wood round. Once I have the candle cup screwed into place, I will paint it black as well. Then we will reassemble my little Van Briggle birdie lamp. I am really happy with the way my projects came out, and I can't wait to show you my girl Friday. She has a special skill that she's going to share with you, but first we're going to take a look at that Briggle lamp. Not too bad at all. That tail is pretty darn close to what it would have been had it not been broken. The 3 coats of Mod Podge helped us achieve that beautiful high gloss to coordinate with the rest of this lamp. And I really love that it's sitting on that wood round. It lends so much more dimension and height. And there is our birdcage lampshade. To soften the look of the birdcage, I added some creepy cloth. I picked that up a couple years ago at the Dollar Tree. Then, for the rest of the year, after Halloween, I can just remove the creepy cloth, and then it is just a really cool bird lamp with a bird cage as a shade. Let's take a look at it lit. How cool does this look lit? Look at the shadows the creepy cloth is throwing onto the wall. It is perfect for Halloween. I am in love with this little lamp, and it is a perfect little accent piece to go anywhere at all. So here's little Friday before, and here she is after. While she was cute before, and now she's simply spectacular. Look at her whiskers. Oh my goodness, what personality this little kitty has. Let's get a closer look at her tag. She is so proud that she is the new apprentice for the future Ghost Catchers of America. Look at the character that little metal ring adds to the tag. And how about her little bow? So sweet. Both of these items were covered in matte Mod Podge. Gus doesn't know about her little special skill just yet, but now she is ready to show him. Just like my kitty and yours, her eyes glow in the dark. And she is gonna be able to lead the way looking for those ghosts. I used 3 coats of plaid folk art glow-in-the-dark neutral glow on her eyes. Not her pupil, just the iris, to make them glow in that special way. And she almost looks like she's blinking sometimes. So amazing. I am in love with my little girl, Friday. Thanks again to Monica for joining me in this It's Always Halloween. You're going to find the links to her channel and this playlist in my description box below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, share it with your family, your friends, and anybody that likes DIYs, repurposing, thrifting, mid-century modern, vintage, and Halloween decor. You can follow me on Instagram, and don't forget to check out my shop on Etsy. Leave me a comment because you know I love hearing from you. Ring the bell for notifications of all of my upcoming videos. Subscribe. It is a fabulous way to support my channel. But for now, this is Dawn, Gus, and Friday with Shabby Meets Bling. We hope to see you next time, and thank you so much for watching.